Right, so we've just had the press conference between Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, and here's what I took from it. We'll start with the undercard, starting with Tommy Welch and Richard Riakporhe. The two had uh, a word, an exchange between them that Tommy Welch I thought came out on top. I mean, he's very well spoken. Apparently, went to the same school as Chris Eubank Jr. They must be doing something right in that English department because I thought Tommy Welch spoke very well, sort of alluding to Richard Riakporhe's name, the Midnight Train, saying that he'll be waiting for the last bus home. So yeah, I mean, hats off to him. Many people didn't know who he was before this fight, but they will do now when people tune in on DAZN to watch that fight against Richard Riakporhe. As for Riakporhe, he didn't really say anything. He's always been quite calm, but you could tell that it was starting to get to him a little bit when Tommy Walsh was sort of controlling the narrative, so to speak. So yeah, that should be a cracking fight. And then next up, Kurt Scooby against Adam Azim. Obviously, Kurt Scooby coming in as late replacement for Abdullayev. Yeah, Kurt Scooby can speak. He's very emotional, wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think it's a very good test for Adam Azim, considering Adam hasn't really fought anyone with. He's fought some good fighters, O'Hara Davis, Sergey Lipinets, but not anyone with that sort of persona, charisma, the sort of person to be up in his face. And I thought he handled himself well, and you could tell the two will get on afterwards. But Kurt Scooby's game, he looks the part, he speaks the part. I mean, he's very bullish, and I think that as well would be a very good test for Adam to sort of come up against someone who can speak, and then also to come on the other side of that, coming victorious, will teach him a lot of lessons should he get through Kurt Scooby. Jack Cattrall, Echo Esserman, the two kept it quite brief. There wasn't a lot of back and forth between the two. And then coming on to the grand arrivals, wow, Chris Eubank Jr. came in with his father, Chris Eubank Sr. That was unexpected. I mean, I thought, obviously everyone knows that Senior will come to the fight on Saturday night, but it was quite I was quite surprised to see him at the press conference, considering he hasn't really shown up to anything apart from the last fight in the past 4 years. But it seems like they've both rekindled their friendship and their not friendship. They both rekindled their relationship, and it showed. Looks like they're getting on well, but Eubank Senior as well, stealing the show with his ways, with his words, with his poise. I always like listening to him speak because I think he's very intelligent, and he can recite poetry very well. It's a very good skill to have, to be able to recite stuff, and say it in the manner that he does. So yeah, always nice to see him speak. But in terms of what was said in the build-up, there's a bit of animosity between Eubank Senior and Nigel Benn. Nigel Benn, of course, came out on TalkSport and said that Eubank Senior was paid to be there, and sort of Eubank challenged him on that and said, "Well, where's the proof, the evidence, the sort of to sort of back it all up?" Obviously, Nigel Benn sort of stood down, didn't really answer that. And then another talking point, one that I thought Eddie Hearn played a blinder here. Obviously, in previous press conferences, Eddie Hearn wasn't allowed to speak. Chris Eubank Jr. simply wouldn't let him. And Eddie did very well. He, instead of speaking, he brought with him a bunch of placards that said what he wanted to say. And I thought he had Eubank for the first time in this whole debacle. I think he had Eubank a little bit on toast. Really, I thought he handled the situation well. Eubank was a bit taken aback. Didn't think Eddie had that sort of, not intellect, but that sort of foresight to come into the press conference that way. Of course, Eddie likes to speak quite a lot. He didn't speak there. And then the back and forths between Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn. Conor Benn has had a complete character transformation in terms of how he portrays himself to the boxing world. I mean, before this press conference, he's been very aggressive, very sort of what's the word? Very condescending of Chris Eubank Jr. I mean, the two didn't even weren't able to have a face off. It got that intense, but this time he sort of come on with a different tactic, one that, you know, maybe he's trying to catch Eubank off guard, because he complimented Eubank quite a lot, almost saying, "I like him." Actually, at first he said he didn't like him, then he liked him. But yeah, I mean, I can see them two being friends afterwards. So, oh, and then at the end, before I forget, I mean, Eubank Senior and Nigel Benn just facing off against each other. You thought there might be a bit of kickback, but they both showed each other some love. So a very action-packed press conference for the undercard, and a very a lot of people will be now tuning in for the main event on Saturday night. And yeah, just my thoughts on the overall